We have done well. Now that we have bought 21st Century Fox and forced these movie theaters to pay us all this money, or else we will punish them. Once we had the legacy of a great man, now tarnished for our favor, and pandering to tarnish his legacy. For we are Disney.
Dun 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 dun
But
dun.
in all
Dun,
seriousness,
dun.
I love Disney when it comes to, pretty much, Walt Disney's one of the few people I've looked up to. And really like, legacies left behind, but not exactly approve of stuff they've been doing in recent years, especially with, pandering to millennials and pretty much pointlessly remaking their animated movies into live action just for a easy profit.
True.
Yeah, definitely. So, hi. Okay, I just want to say that my opening monologue is it seems to be as divisive as this movie. So,
Is it really? Are there that many people who are
well, I
sellouts?
saw the Rotten Tomatoes score of, I guess, the audience
Mhm.
in that. But anyway, so hi, welcome to End Credit Reviews, an episode of After the Credits on End Credit Reviews. This is Tyler from End Credit Reviews.
And Stephen from Stephen Lawson Studios.
Yes, and this is our review on Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Now, we know we haven't reviewed the other Star Wars movies in the past. Probably in the future we'll review those. But anyway, so this is a new Star Wars movie, of course. I reviewed the Star Wars Star Wars movies a few years ago. I might leave some links in the description below for you to watch that, and also Rogue One as well. So, yeah, this is basically, we saw this, of course, and we wanted to see it on opening night on Thursday, but it was, packed and just about, filled up, weeks before, so we tried to see it as soon as we could. We saw it Saturday, this night we're recording, and yeah, it was pretty packed, a lot of people, and it's usually, I haven't seen it like this since The Force Awakens. And I feel like just about every new Star Wars movie coming out that's one of the main episodes is going to be like that.
Yeah, in the West especially, there is a soft place in the hearts of people for Star Wars, and that's very clear. I definitely like the series overall quite a bit. It's not
Yeah.
literally my favorite, but it's in the West. It is, in terms of the box office and the turnout, very clear that it's important to the culture.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the plot of Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi is about Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, has found Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, and she insists that he trains her. Meanwhile, what's going on is that the First Order is hot on the heels of the rebellion, so thus they're trying to band together to fight off the First Order, and also Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, is also being trained, of course, by Snoke, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, played by Andy Serkis. So,
Circus.
is this? I thought it was Serkis.
It's circus.
That's kind of weird because I thought I did a Google Translate just to clarify that. Just it's kind of odd. I'll maybe just call him Gollum.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so basically, of course, the cast from the first movie come back. We have, Oscar Isaac as Poe. We have late Carrie Fisher as Leia. And also we have some new ones, of course, we will get to. But what's interesting is that this movie has actually been kind of divided around. Well, when it came to people who saw the movie, they've been pretty divided about it. People have said oh, it was a big disappointment, and others say oh, it's pretty good and that, which is kind of interesting in a way. A movie that's been kind of divided, Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But what was weird is that with Batman vs. Superman, the critics were pretty much divided about the movie, and audiences really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
However, with this one, it's the complete other way around, where critics loved it, but audiences have been pretty divided about. One movie that's very similar to this that came out this year was the movie It Comes at Night.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison.
I would say, but I was kind of disappointed it comes at night. I thought it was eh, but this one I really liked. This one, it was a lot of great action stuff, but we should probably have like a spoiler segment for some of the stuff.
I
But
agree.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be hard to avoid without giving too much away our honest views on it.
okay. So pretty much my first question that was kind of cool is that I like how in some ways Rey was being trained by Luke Skywalker. It was pretty cool to see those like kind of moments. But what are your thoughts on both Daisy Ridley as Rey and Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker during those moments?
To be completely honest, I thought Ray, as usual, was pretty good, and Mark Hamill was not very good at all. Like, I thought he was fine,
Huh.
but that honestly, I haven't talked to the people that were disappointed, but I would say that he was probably overall the least good aspect overall in terms of what we were expecting, because with the end of the seventh episode we were thinking, oh shoot, well here comes Luke Skywalker, so it's about to go down, and it's clear from minute one afterward, not so much. And that kind of was a letdown. We watched the whole time, and he did do a certain thing towards the end that was okay. No, he did somewhat come back, but at the same time, I really feel it wasn't overall enough, and it just wasn't suitable. Like, the hype that was behind Luke was not met in my eyes, and there were other things that I'm sure we'll talk about that were not met about this movie that probably were disappointing, but ultimately that wasn't enough to ruin it as it seems to have ruined it for other people. That's at least my perspective on it, though.
Okay. Well, for me, I've got to disagree with you on that
Okay.
because for me, I think it was kind of the opposite. I really did like Mark Hamill, of course, bringing in as Luke Skywalker. I think his character in a way kind of grew, that he wasn't kind of the kind of people complain about Luke Skywalker, like, oh, he was kind of whiny in that.
Yeah, he was kind of the well, I guess an opposite side of the same coin. Instead of that, like, prior in all the other movies, Luke was whiny and at the last minute kind of grew up enough to kind of beat Vader. And
I mean, in a way, it's kind of rhymes with how Anakin Skywalker was kind of whiny in that.
right,
And yeah, in addition, these movies in a way have like certain things that are very similar. I mean, people would say that The Force Awakens was kind of too much of a rehash of A New Hope. And with
That's
this
fair.
one, I saw like a lot of Empire Strikes Back.
yeah,
But at the same time, I also saw a little bit of Return of the Jedi in
yeah,
a way, which we'll probably get to in our spoiler segment.
definitely.
But yeah, I mean, it was interesting again to see Daisy Ridley's character. We find out more about her past, which I did like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but when they're on that island, there's some pretty funny stuff. Like
There is.
there's like these like alien things, which I don't know. They kind of reminded me of like Greek, like nuns in like Greece and that, like in the
Yeah,
Orthodox thing. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, like Greek Orthodox alien maids.
Yeah, it was
Pretty
kind of
much.
weird in that, like, huh, I didn't know they had that. And then also, of course, we got this, like, birdish thing, which I'm thinking to
Porgs,
myself,
I think
yep,
they're
this
called.
is gonna be the new things on the toy line.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're pretty much Furbies.
Yeah, I mean, with wings, that's true. It was like
Yeah.
if you put duck feet and wings on a furry little, I guess, guinea piggish thing.
Yeah, I wanted to make a low budget version of The Last Jedi, and they were gonna be played by Furbies. Me cry, die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had one of those. I don't know if I have somewhere still. I don't know, basement, closet, or whatever. I don't know
Right.
where it's at. Haven't looked. Yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, it was cool to see like Chewbacca like interacting with them. Like, yeah, it's still a lot better than that horrible holiday special.
Oh, yeah. As if there was a question.
My God, I mean, the Wookiees going around going, it's like, I think I would rather listen to a Taylor Swift album. And that speaks
Yeah.
volumes because you know how much I
Same.
really do not like Taylor Swift.
Absolutely. I'm the same here.
I mean, the Grandpa Woogie, I think I said in my unscripted review for it, back when I called this unscripted, was that he looked like Doomsday with hair. Pretty much. Like, he looked like Doomsday there. So, I was weird about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, with the other characters, of course, so we also had John Boyega as Finn, and I was kind of mildly disappointed. I thought that he would have a little bit more screen time in this movie, but one joke I kind of resisted making in the theater just as like a funny, kind of joke thing. So let me get this straight. Finn keeps running away and running in that. I'm just sorry, but wouldn't it make more sense if Finn was played by a Frenchman?
Yeah, I guess so.
Not just to be funny in that. Like,
Right.
Of course they haven't done that. Only in like a certain point in history were they known for, I don't know, surrender or whatever.
Right.
And that, even though they've done like a lot of victories and that, I mean, come on, Napoleonic period.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But then he also had this friendship with a woman named Rose, played by Kelly Marie Tran or whatever.
Oh boy, we gotta talk about her sister.
Oh, she's Asian, and there's a part in the movie in the beginning of the film where she goes to attack, I guess, part of a bombing run,
Yeah.
and we're like, and you brought it up, it's like, yes, I can see it happening.
She
pretty much banzai attack, World War II style.
Exactly. She was the last one that survived, and as soon as I saw that look in her eyes, I just thought, Hondatsuyo!
I thought like banzai.
Yeah, and I just knew, oh boy, they're going for the stereotype of Japanese honor suicide.
This scene would be, if this movie was made back in the 1940s, it would be banned completely.
True.
Because people would be like, Pearl Harbor flashbacks. I mean, yeah, this is kind of like Pearl Harbor if you think about it.
True.
On that scene.
And I mean, it was good, but we were laughing our asses off, and people were probably thinking, why is this so funny? It's because it's a freaking stereotype.
On top of that, speaking of audiences, there was a guy behind us, I kid you not, was snoring.
He, at the very end, was snoring. He was asleep.
How do you fall asleep watching a Star Wars movie? Okay,
It's
I can understand
crazy.
falling asleep with like Attack of the Clones because there's like a really boring stuff in that movie and filler, but there was some really good action in this movie. It's like, how did you fall asleep? Did someone like roofie you?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it felt like the chemistry between these two actors were,
Yeah, they were fine, and at the end of the day, it was like she was doing something towards the end that was like brave and mildly sacrificial. It wasn't. I'm not gonna spoil it, but
yeah, we'll get.
I was ultimately just like, okay, well, Boothang over here is much better.
Yeah.
So
I think Oscar Isaac's character has better odds with her than Finn at this point.
right.
Yeah. But speaking of Finn, not Finn, but Oscar Isaac's character Poe, he's probably my favorite character in the movie because I like how he's such a great pilot, but also he's kind of a hothead and he knows how to take like leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And also I felt like the movie, in a way, and subplot kind of had a good lesson about, maybe you should not be too quick to jump the gun on something.
Sure. Yeah, I think that was clear, but at the same time, pittering their feet too long also led to massive casualties too. So there was definitely a lesson of whatever you're going to do, you need to make a decision and not take too long or act too hastily. So.
Yeah, pretty much. This is a message that our government needs to hear.
Seriously.
Bo probably got taken down and taken to Guantanamo Bay by this point.
Right, flagged for
Speaking the
terrorism and
truth.
offensive speech.
Speaking the truth. All right, but it's a random joke here, folks. But anyway, speaking of very minor, kind of passable thing, was that of Gwendolyn Christine as Captain Phasma. People complain that, she was barely in the movie, and yeah, they kind of made too much of a big deal about her. So I'm like, okay, they were talking about like how, her character's gonna have a lot more screen time, more importance.
Fake news.
I don't know. I think she doesn't show up till much later in the film, and I feel like the screen time in this movie kind of equaled the amount of screen time she had in The Force Awakens.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
I like how she did a lot more stuff, so I liked it.
That's true. There was more of a climactic battle between her and Finn, so that was good.
It's not a spoiler, you see in the trailer.
Right.
But yeah, so some of the newcomers, of course, would have to be that of Laura Dern as Vice Admiral Haldo, and it's kind of weird with like the purple hair.
Tumbler hair, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember her from. For those who don't remember, she was in Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I never really found her that attractive.
She's okay to me, not in this role, but
yeah, definitely not. She
like,
dropped a few points,
like
in my book.
The Founder movie, where it was about the guy who
franchised
franchised
McDonald's.
I thought she was pretty cute in that. She was a pretty wife, in my opinion.
I gotta say pass.
All right.
Yeah. But speaking of, there's this other woman in the movie that had a lot of importance, and she had this big nose on her.
Oh my gosh, she was ridiculous. Like, I forgot what she said at first, but like, we need to do scans for certain energy leaks or something, and for them nostrils. Like, seriously, them nostrils is out of this world. You're gonna knock over a bookshelf with that.
Actually, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someone typed up on, like, trivia stuff on IMDb, like, Adrian Brody was supposed to play this role, but he turned it down. Because the script called someone with an abnormal large nose.
Yes.
I'm like, you probably could have had an alien play this role. And it would be less distracting. Yeah, she was like, I need this role for this nose job.
Right.
And that it's like, some people, it's like, I know that plastic surgery and that's not a good idea, but in the case for someone with a legitimate deformity like that is definitely very acceptable.
Yeah. Speaking of which, confirmed 2020 Adrian Brody as Pinocchio live action.
Yeah.
they're just gonna. They're not even gonna have his nose grow. They're gonna put CG in and make it shorter, and then progressively as he lies, it will grow to its natural state.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so then we also had Benicio Del Toro as DJ. It's like, DJ, spin that. In fact, he kind of had the bit of like a stutter to him, like if you did this sort of thing, but
Right.
if kind of like a stutter like repeat thing.
Yeah, like record scratch where it goes back a second. Yeah, I remembered as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh yeah, he was supposed to be in this, wasn't he? From early confirmations of who was going to be cast in the movie, and honestly, he had beyond like 3 minutes very little to do with the movie, and I thought that was like, okay, well, that's, I guess, a mild disappointment, but also it was kind of like I forgot he was going to be in it in the first place, so it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking myself when they first, met with him and that in the movie. I kind of joked to you, Steven, like, that'd be funny if he turned into the Wolfman right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and then also maybe Anthony Hopkins would be there casually walking around with a shotgun.
Right.
And like, yeah, oh yeah, but I know there's some disappointments in this movie, but one character I felt like easily could have been cut from the movie was that of Lupita Nyong'o's character, Maz Kanata, the yellow looking. Yellow looking raisin mole man from The Simpsons.
Yoda female ripoff. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of Mole Man from The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I feel like, okay, what was the point of her character? Maybe for some exposition for subplot, but other than that, she was not very necessary.
I agree.
But anyway, I think we should talk about spoiler stuff right now.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the movie, fast forward to this part. But we're talking about the different stuff in the movie we felt were kind of disappointments in that, but
Mhm.
there's this one moment in the movie
Oh my
that
god.
we both agreed, like, yeah, that was super retarded. It's kind of like the equivalent of those three really dumb moments in Kingsman: The Golden Circle
Mhm.
if they were meshed into just one really dumb scene.
So bad. It was unexcusable.
All right, there's a part in the movie where pretty much Carrie Fisher's character, like, she's on the bridge and there's like this big explosion that she gets pulled
Mhm.
out to space, and then for some reason it's like the Force, I bring myself back to the bridge.
This woman opens her eyes in space. That does. You know what would happen if you opened your eyes in space? Your eyes would get sucked out of your skull.
I mean, it's kind of like how well, the Star Wars movies aren't the most scientifically accurate ones because of the
course.
fact that that part in The Force Awakens when like the sun pretty much is like being used as energy in that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of dying out. Well, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to be like Neil deGrasse Tyson here, but anyway, the thing is that the sun would change colors in that if it was drained, because when a sun ages, of course, it goes through like these different colors and
Right.
that before it dies off and such.
There's
I mean,
like blue, which is hottest, and then yellow and red.
I forget the order of it, but yeah, that's pretty much what we were taught back in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just thought that'd be kind of interesting in a way, like say, oh, the sun's this color, we don't have much time left.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was, and on top of that, we know Carrie Fisher is dead now, and it was just, really sad and unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that this was a perfect opportunity to show this such a sad death
And to
to
get
write her,
rid of her.
to write her
Yes.
off, and then it's like, okay, what gives?
Seriously. They left her basically, I guess, so that, since we're in spoiler territory, that Luke can contact her, I guess?
But what's weird is that she has force powers. I mean,
Which were, like, hardly developed
we
or
nev-
mentioned at all?
that was never explained. They could have said like, "Oh yeah, Luke trained me in the Force a little bit,"
Mm-hmm.
even though I was a bit late to the game.
And I think they talked about it maybe a tiny bit in episodes like 5 and 6 maybe, but other than
Oh
that...
no, I mean, I don't think they ever really did. But
it was just not... It didn't work at all.
yeah.
That's the
I
bottom line.
mean, and then also, I will say my absolute favorite part of the movie, that's a spoiler thing,
Mm.
is when we finally get to meet Snoke, played by Andy. Well, let's go with what you said, Serkis or Circus.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we meet this guy, and it's really cool. I like how he's kind of wearing this kind of like golden robe.
Right.
It kind of reminded me of Bram Stoker's Dracula when Dracula's wearing his like nightgown.
True.
And also he's like in this red throne room with all these like bodyguards. And I'm like, that is pretty cool. I'm really digging the set design here.
Absolutely. It was a great environment.
And then also, again, it was kind of like Return of the Jedi in a way. And I just absolutely loved it. Like this big plot twist with where Kylo Ren actually, ones up Snoke.
Mm.
And then we see like, Rey and Kylo like pretty much attack this entire like the bodyguards. Now like this is really cool. I really felt legitimately surprised, but in a good and satisfying way.
Right.
It really did, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I thought if anything, they were going to go for something where like Rey turns to the dark side, where it's like the opposite of what happened. Because like in the prequels, at the end, Anakin starts as good and turns to the dark side.
But we knew he was going to turn to the dark side.
Right, but I honestly expected that there would be something similar with Daisy
Rey.
Ridley, and by the end she would redeem and like end up turning the tide, and I thought that's kind of what they were going for, but just completely no. She stayed anchored, and it was kind of Kylo that did, but at the same time, I don't know how much we want to spoil, but basically, yes, he did turn, but only temporarily.
And I just and there's a part in the movie where all the like AT-AT things fire upon this one character,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they fire for like 10 seconds straight, and the person survived. And you were saying like, of course, and my joke was, well, they're stormtroopers. Do you expect them to hit their target?
Exactly. That was so good.
It
One
just
of the best
showed.
jokes.
It just showed exactly how bad the stormtrooper aim was.
Right. And
It's
it
kinda-
turned there was another reason behind that too, but in the moment it was like, really? But and then the joke of, well, they're stormtroopers, what did you expect? It was just so good. So good.
I also love the surprise edition of Yoda, voiced by Frank Oz.
Yeah, and he even looked kind of like the puppet more.
Yeah, the animatronic, which I did like. I mean, it kind of made sense in the prequels for him to be full CGI because he was like moving around and doing like flips and everything else.
Sure, yeah.
So it made sense that they went the CGI route with that. But yeah, I gotta say Yoda, it was kind of cool to see him there as kind of helping, you know, I mean, Luke Skywalker in a time of need, but also I thought it was hilarious. Well, not hilarious, but I thought it'd be kind of cool if Obi-Wan showed up and Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin Skywalker showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that to see if that would happen.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, they would have to do some like CG stuff with Obi-Wan unless they got Ian McGregor to be him
Right.
in that. I'm just hoping on a Obi-Wan Kenobi spin-off movie in the future. But yeah, just yeah, I gotta say the movie, yeah, it was very lengthy. I gotta say, it did feel length from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll get back to it in our ratings and that. All right, so we're done with spoilers right now, but I just thought it was kind of funny how in the beginning of the film, how we see Snoke, how powerful he is with the Force, how he pretty much disciplines this general guy and pretty much like, you know, uses the Force to like beat him down.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was like really cool how powerful he was. I just kind of, I mean, they mentioned how like Kylo Ren took several different of the people that Luke was training.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, who are these other people?
I do wonder if that was like cut content or something.
Or maybe they're saving it for later. I don't know.
Yeah, because also, I mean, I don't want to get back into spoiler territory here, so I won't. But I mean,
it's mentioned and hinted in episode 7.
Right. But also, it's like based on some of the questions that people had from the 7th one that they were sure were going to be answered in this one. Most of them, actually pretty much all of them, were not answered. And if anything, at the point which they ended, it's like, well, where are they going to go from here besides literally what we saw?
Yeah, I mean it's not as bad as Prometheus in a way. Like, I felt like Prometheus made more questions than answers.
I disagree. I feel like this was almost as egregious in terms of like the questions people had. And that, again, might be another reason why so many people just seem to be so off-put by the movie. I don't think... I don't know. There's part of me that's like, it was still good in its own right.
Yeah.
It's just in the context of what the fans wanted out of it and are now on the internet going, "Ree!" about is...
Yeah, I mean, looking at the audience thing, you know,
yeah.
like commentary stuff about it, I'm like thinking to myself, is Star Wars overnight become the new DC?
Yeah, that's a pretty valid question. Marvel fanboys in the comments like, now let me tell you something. And it's
Yeah, I think this Josh guy we know would give his 2 cents to us, of course.
Right.
All right, so I'm trying to think what else we might have missed talking about, or I think we pretty much covered the gist of it, but
Porgs were cute. The little bird fuzzy thing.
well, yeah, we talked about the bird thing.
I guess we could talk about the final battle. I think
Well,
overall the final battle was better than...
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. We already did our spoiler segment.
Mm-hmm.
Already don't want to explain the whole movie
Yeah,
like Wikipedia style.
No, I'm not going to do that. But I would say that it was, first of all, longer. It was kind of split into like 2 or 3 parts instead of like 1 or 2. And I would say it had a lot of payoff in the end. But again, it's like, where do they go from here? Without spoiling it, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, the movie was directed by Rian Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I forgot to mention this earlier in the review. But this guy, of course, is like he didn't direct the previous one that was J.J. Abrams.
Right.
This guy's directed movies like Brick, which I haven't seen, but I heard is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He directed The Brothers Bloom, which I liked, and then also Looper, which I thought was pretty decent.
Yep, I've seen Looper and I like that, but the other two I haven't.
Okay, I recommend Brothers Bloom.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Brick, so I can't recommend it.
Gotcha.
So, what would you give this movie, Steven?
That's a tough one. Well, overall, I really liked it. It was fun, definitely, and even though there were a few disappointments, I can't really completely blame the sins of a few directorial decisions on these particular actors, like Mark Hamill or someone like that, because really, at the end of the day, they're at the mercy of the director. And
Well, more like the studio.
yeah, that's fair, especially in Disney's case these days. And yeah, I mean, it overall I think was pretty solid. It was fun. I think in the end it was a slight step up from The Force Awakens. I wouldn't put it on the level of the Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. But it was still, it was one of the better ones, to be sure. Kind of along the lines of Revenge of the Sith, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. I'm curious to see where they're going to go from here. And I would probably give this a grade somewhere in the area of maybe an 85 to an 86, 87 at the most, but somewhere in there.
Okay, so I'll do like 85, 87% for
Sure.
you then. Okay. Alright, so with this movie, yes, I do think this movie is better than The Force Awakens. I felt like The Force Awakens felt way too much of a rehash of New Hope. I mean, yeah, this does rehash stuff from The Empire Strikes Back, as even some scenes from Return of the Jedi. But I did like the movie, how there's different like twists and turns. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool that they did this sort of thing, and that sort of thing that really exceeded expectations as well. Like, oh, I didn't see that coming. So I feel like it's really satisfying if you go into this movie not really knowing what it's about or what not to expect.
Yep.
I mean, there are some moments in the film where I'm like, okay, could have like maybe have trimmed it down or redid it better, like the part where Daisy Ridley's character goes into like this cave thing and look at this reflection of her. I mean, it's interesting looking, but I'm like, what was the point of that scene?
Yeah, it ultimately just didn't mean a lot.
Yeah. But I thought, yeah, I mean, there's moments in the movie where I'm like, oh, it's cool stuff, and there's definitely like funny one-liner stuff, but some scenes I felt like, in a way, felt a little bit forced.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, like, there's moments where I feel like, yeah, this should be more serious, and there are moments where it's like, okay, definitely fine to bring in jokes. Like, at the beginning of the movie with Poe's character, I felt like it was kind of funny. They did have jokes, but some scenes with, like, Daisy Ridley's character and Adam Driver's character kind of felt, I don't think it was a good time to do those kind of one-liners and that.
I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think The Force Awakens is... The Last Jedi is actually really good. I really like this movie. Besides that really dumb moment in the at some part of the movie we talked about in our spoiler segment.
And you will see it and you will know it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I definitely would recommend this movie. I liked it more than Rogue One, and I actually think that Rogue One is better than The Force Awakens.
I wouldn't go that far, but I do. I agree that it's better than both of them.
This is definitely one of the better Star Wars movies. Yeah, not in the same league as the first trilogy. I mean, it's better than the prequels, but... So, for this movie, of course, with Star Wars Last Jedi, I would give it about 3 stars out of 4.
Sure.
Yeah, it's pretty much been the average rating for all these movies that we've seen, of course, this year.
I feel like this year, for pretty much every franchise... It's hit a little short of the bar for most of them. And
yeah, I haven't seen a single movie this year where I'm like, okay, that's easily 3.5 stars out of 4.
Right.
Like, the closest ones I can think of are, like, Baby Driver and Blade Runner 2049.
I got you. Yeah, I've got a list of a few that, I mean, were definitely overall good. It's just none hit the out of the park.
Yeah, like Grand Slam.
Right.
Yeah.
Generally, there's at least 1 or 2 per year that you can really say that. But this year, it's kind of like, lukewarm overall. But
Yeah.
I mean, still enjoyable.
Yeah. So yeah, I did like this film, and yeah. So anyway, this is Tyler from End Credit Reviews,
And Steven from Steven Lawson Studios.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed this episode of After the Credits on End Credit Reviews. I hope you didn't by chance accidentally listen to our spoiler segment. And yeah, I mean, I can understand why some people feel a little bit divided about the movie. I mean, yeah, it could have been shorter. I felt like I kind of felt its length. I mean, at the end, I kind of got a Return of the King vibe where it's like had multiple different endings.
I gotcha.
In a way, it's kind of like Spider-Man 3 also.
Right.
Where it's
Get
like...
on with it!
Where, yeah, there's like certain moments where it's like, is it gonna end? Oh wait, it faked out ending kind of way. But anyway, we hope to make more episodes of After the Credits and Credit Reviews and more videos in the future, of course. Until then, have a Merry Christmas, and please like and subscribe.